A brand new trailer for Silent Hill 2 Remake and additional gameplay showcase have just manifested out of the fog. And as a hardcore Silent Hill fan, I thought it would be fun to sit down and take a look at interesting details and observations we can make in both the trailer and the showcase. Let's take a look at the State of Play trailer, and we'll take it from there.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. I was just...
It's okay. I didn't mean to scare you. I'm kind of lost. I'm looking for Silent Hill.
I think you should stay away. This town, there's something wrong with it.
Is it dangerous?
Maybe.
I'll be careful.
I'm not lying.
I guess I don't really care if it's dangerous or not. I'm going either way.
No, you shouldn't be here. I'll be good, I promise. Tell him I'll be good, please. No, please.
And there we have it. So first of all, we finally know that Silent Hill 2 Remake is officially released on October 8th, 2024. Unless you get the, digital deluxe, one of the digital deluxe versions, which I believe gives you a 2-day head start on finding your wife. Anyway, let's just kind of take a look and break it down bit by bit. James looking like he's on a boy band cover. I love it. He looks good. I think he looks... I don't know if it's something to do with the lighting, but things just look too clean, too bright, too, James looks like almost picture perfect. Whereas we know that when we see him in other parts of the trailer and promotional material we've seen, he sort of has the under eye bagginess. He looks like he hasn't slept in a week, he has this sort of haggard look. Whereas here, both him and Angela look...
I'm kind of lost.
Yeah, hold on a sec.
I'm looking for Silent Hill.
This shot has been the debate of the internet. I think Angela looks fine. We all know her tragic story, and if you happen to not know, if you've kind of just joined on the discourse of this game, she is undoubtedly one of the darkest characters in Silent Hill's history, being sexually abused by her father for many, many years, even as a kid, being physically abused by both her father and her brother, and her mother not doing anything to defend her. So she's had a very dark past with a lot of self-loathing and a lot of anger. And this anger ties into why she is led to Silent Hill, because she's done something. She's not innocent. I think context is important here, because a lot of the discourse that's been going around about Angela stems from people just having no understanding about the true depth of this character. And I think that in itself is a bit telling. And unfortunately, I think that these ridiculous discourses that are flying around are undermining actual legitimate criticisms of both Angela and the rest of the game. Now, I know in the original, she looked a lot older. She looked gaunt and disheveled and like she hadn't slept in 3 months. Hair looked greasy and filthy. I've seen some criticism towards Angela in this version saying she looks too young and too pretty. I'm a bit torn because I think it's difficult to impart a character's age and how truly innocent she is and how truly dark her predicament is unless you make her visually look younger. So I think that's what they're going for here. I think they deliberately de-aged her to show her innocence and to show that she's essentially still a child. There's another part as well where she sort of sitting on the floor. She acts very infantile, and this is actually quite common with people that have experienced severe abuse in their formative years, is that even as it tends to cause people to often regress into a sort of childlike state, which is evident from how she's sitting here, and she always has this sort of pouty look on her face, at times acting petulant and sulky, and other times seeking comfort and reassurance from James. Like here in this new trailer where she says,
I'll be good, I promise. Tell him I'll be good, please.
Now, this supports my theory that they likely de-aged her to better relay the contrast between her innocence, her age, and her behavior to new players. Now, most people who played the original, they were probably under the impression that Angela was a middle-aged woman. And while I like the idea of her character being aged up due to prolonged exposure to things like stress and abuse, I'd also argue that these factors, while they can make you age physically, wouldn't necessarily make you age 3 decades. And I think this is where they're trying to strike a balance for the remake, because in having her appearance be younger, the fact that she is 19 won't be lost to the audience, and I think it's arguably going to make people feel more attached to her, as she'll be seen as a more vulnerable character. So people have been saying her face, her jaw, her chin looks bloated in this shot. I kind of see it. Just a disclaimer, I do think that there is something maybe slightly fishy going on with this particular graveyard scene, where maybe the lighting isn't properly rigged, or they're using, I don't know, temporary unfinished models or something like that. But as you can see later on in the trailer, Angela's face actually looks quite normal. Let me see if I can pull it up here. In other parts of the trailer, her face looks a bit more normal, you know. It doesn't have that same sort of bloated look. Maybe it's down to the models, maybe it's down to lighting, maybe it's just down to an extreme close-up not being a very flattering thing. And also that in combination with the turtleneck typically making your jaw and your chin stand out more and things like that. But let's play devil's advocate and let's assume that maybe this sort of puffy face look she has is deliberate. So first of all, is she fat? No, she's not. She is wearing loose-fitting clothes, deliberately so, because, again, she's trying to defeminize herself. You can tell that she's still quite skinny and gaunt underneath. Let's assume that the puffy eyes are a deliberate design choice. Why would that be? People seem to have this ridiculous idea that mental and physical trauma can manifest itself in only one specific way. Like, for example, you have to be skinny and gaunt, you have to look like you haven't slept, you can't have nice skin at all. It doesn't work that way. There's no one single mold that applies to how people should look if they've experienced trauma or something horrible in their life. It really varies from person to person, and to a certain extent it even varies between men and women. So why might Angela have puffy cheeks? It could just be down to prolonged exposure to stress hormones, which isn't entirely impossible considering her past. It might be down to something like drug abuse. Maybe her taking to drugs is a coping mechanism. It could also be due to an eating disorder. Your relationship with food might be quite complicated if you experience trauma, and it might actually be that food turns out to be a coping mechanism. Same goes for lack of sleep. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what about the puffy eyebrows? When you've been the victim of sexual assault or any other type of assault, including the way she dresses, the way she keeps her hair, are deliberate choices by her. She doesn't want attention. She doesn't want anyone looking at her. She wants to just blend in. This sort of unkempt look that she might have is basically an attempt for her to camouflage herself. And let's not forget, when you're depressed, even if you have moderate depression, as I'm sure some of you can relate to, even the simplest tasks can be impossible. We're talking about things like getting out of bed or brushing your teeth or getting dressed. So it's not really any surprise why her hair or skin might look messy, why maybe she doesn't take care of herself, maybe doesn't eat right and doesn't get enough sleep. It's not unheard of with people who have self-harmed or who have been through some kind of abuse to cover up fully. They covered their neck, they covered their wrists, they covered their midriff, they cover anything that might expose any type of bruises, any type of scarring, any type of cuts. And they also cover up any part that might be perceived as sexual. So this is why you typically wear unflattering, non-form-fitting clothes. So to summarize the whole thing with Angela, the surrounding discussions have been quite strange and a little bit of toxic, if I'm honest. On one end, you have the people who are trying to fix her, sometimes using AI to do so, and they're kind of projecting their idealized version of what they feel an abuse victim should look like. And I don't know how to tell you this, but there's no one glove fits all for abuse victims. There's no uniform that they wear. And then on the other side of the extreme, you have the crowd who are complaining about her lack of femininity, who are frustrated that she's not pleasing to their eyes, and who are whining about censorship. When really what I think is going on is they honestly lack the fundamental context of this game and Angela overall. And listen, I'm all for unique and sometimes revealing or even sexy outfits returning to games. Like, I really do miss that bizarre 90s outfit design that games used to have back in the day. But there is a time and a place for that. Like, for example, with Maria, whose sexual appeal and her femininity is actually highly relevant to Silent Hill 2's story. But this should not be taken out on a deeply traumatized child sexual assault victim. That's what I'm trying to get at here. I think Angela's design is absolutely fine. Let's wait and see until the game releases before we judge too harshly.
Where did she go?
Ah, here we go. Maria. I think her new design is okay. I prefer the original one, but I do want to draw attention to a couple of things here. So first of all, she still has her iconic butterfly tattoo, which is a very important symbol for her character, although it's in a different place. The leopard print is still there on the dress, but it's a lot more subtle. The pink flared tips at her hair are still there. You know, she still looks sort of, you know, sexy. The whole idea behind Maria is that she's basically this creature that has been manifested due to James's personal wishes and desires and just little quirks and things that he wishes Mary had. You know, maybe that she was a bit more adventurous or dressed a bit more provocatively. So as much as I normally don't like this discourse, in this particular case with this particular character, yes, she's meant to be sexy. Now, I've seen a lot of differing takes here on Maria and what people think about her. I've seen people say, this is what you would wear to church. What? I don't know if I agree with that, but I understand. I get it. I like the exposed midriff in the original. It was actually a very deliberate choice as well, because if you look at old developer interviews and things like that, they make it very clear that they want to make Maria feel like a real person, like a realistic person who has a little bit of that excess tummy fat that's visible. She has like imperfect skin. She has a little mole around her, on her skin, around her neck. You know, it's things like this I hope will not get lost in translation. And also, it is entirely possible, I do want to point this out as well, by the way, it is entirely possible that Maria's appearance might actually change at some point during the game. So back in the day, obviously, remember, gameplay limitations, hardware limitations. So we know for a fact that the way James sees things and thinks of things directly impacts how his surroundings manifest. And that includes people. So maybe, as James's state of mind dilapidates or nears the truth, maybe Maria's appearance will change as well. Now keep in mind, this happens right after James meets Maria. Unless they've drastically changed the story, this is right after you meet Maria. So yeah, it's entirely possible that maybe the jacket comes off, maybe she just comes out in a different scene and she looks totally different. I think we should try to sort of keep an open mind here, and I'm very excited to see what the intent is behind Maria. But in principle, I'm fine with her outfit. I think it's cute. I think she looks cute.
This town, there's something wrong with it?
I've heard people saying that the voice acting overall sounds worse in Silent Hill 2 Remake. Hey, listen, I'll always prefer the original Silent Hill 2 in every way. But for me, remakes are never really meant to replace the originals, but rather to complement them. The new voices might sound uncanny to you because, whether we like to admit it or not, we are wearing our nostalgia headphones. We're used to hearing the slightly awkward, but still amazing voice acting of the original. Fact is, for example, that Guy Seehey, the voice actor for James Sunderland in the original, actually had never acted prior to this role. So the story goes that he brought his daughter in for an audition, and the casting team sort of took to him and they ended up offering him the role as James Sunderland. So while Monica Taylor Horgan and Donna Burke were trained actors, voice acting in gaming was still kind of an uncharted territory at the time. And they actually had to act out some of the scenes theater style as their voices were being captured, which I think added a sort of unique dramatic flair to the deliveries of their lines. This sometimes resulted in kind of stilted, awkward interactions between the actors, which adds a lot of charm and I think ironically helped shape the deeply scarred, emotionally complex cast of Silent Hill 2 that we all know and love. So it's likely that a part of the reason to why you feel the new voices might be off-putting is because you're just not used to hearing trained actors taking on these roles. This isn't exclusive to Silent Hill 2, by the way. It's been a common occurrence in remakes, like Resident Evil, for example, where a lot of the original cast has been replaced. In principle, I think the new voices sound fine. James seems a little inconsistent at times, because while he's having his monologues, he sounds sullen and exhausted and bitter, and I love his voice during those segments. But while talking to the other characters, he sometimes gives more of an impression of being a sort of regular, happy-go-lucky guy. Hey, what's up? I definitely wish it was a bit more consistent, but we'll just have to see. Angela's voice actor seems alright to me. I've seen some people expressing that there's almost like an odd discrepancy between her voice and her body, almost like the two don't fit together. I think her voice sounds fine, and it will suit the character quite well if they're trying to portray a more childlike Angela. Laura and Mary sound absolutely incredible so far, from what I've heard. And as for the rest, it's just too early to tell. We'll just have to wait and see. So some changes are just inevitable when it comes to remaking a game, and it sort of just comes with the territory. This includes changing the perspective from fixed camera angles to third person, because suddenly you lose out on a major horror element. But instead, you gain other amazing opportunities to create a terrifying ambience. Now, I'll always vouch for fixed camera angles because I feel like they provide developers with the best opportunities and the best tools to elevate the horror gaming genre, and also allows players to be immersed in these horror worlds in very unique ways. But I don't mind the over-the-shoulder perspective, and I'm curious to see how it can be adapted to complement Silent Hill 2 Remake's horror and pace. Graphically, I think this game looks very solid so far, and there's been a clear improvement from previous promo materials. Unfortunately, I think that the live broadcasts that they've been showing us tend to compress videos quite a lot, so the visuals have been catching some unnecessary flack that could have probably been avoided. Because when you look at the raw footage, it actually looks a lot more crisp. I've seen some fans comparing Silent Hill 2 Remake to the recent Resident Evil remakes as well, saying that the graphics and the technical aspects of the game seem inferior. You do have to remember, though, that just because Bloober are doing a Capcom and modernizing an iconic title, it doesn't mean that they should be held to the same standards. I think that's a little bit unfair, because Bloober's dev team size is likely just a fraction of Capcom's. So is their budget and experience, for one. Silent Hill 2 Remake seems to be running on the Unreal Engine 5, I believe, while Capcom has a shiny, cool, in-house RE engine, so the two are just not comparable. It's a world's difference, and I think expectations should be managed here. Speaking of, Silent Hill 2 Remake's gameplay actually looks quite a lot of fun, and it definitely seems to have been polished up if you compare to the last trailer we saw. You can still tell there's a little bit of jank in there, like for example, some animations look a little too weightless, like when you open doors or for some melee swings. But let's face it, Silent Hill was never exactly the franchise you'd look to if your primary concern was cutting-edge gameplay to begin with. I think the jank will feel right at home, and it might actually complement the game, adding a sense of familiarity and nostalgia. I know what you're thinking. Kat, you're such a goddamn shill. You're too optimistic. Maybe I am. Maybe I live in Silent Hill La La Land. But my approach has always been, wait and see. If you want some other concerns of mine besides what I've already mentioned, my major worry is honestly that a lot of the subtlety and nuance of Silent Hill 2's story, environments, and narrative will just be lost in the remake. As per usual, we here in the West strive towards explaining, rationalizing, and expositioning everything. Nothing is just left up for interpretation or more subtle. It's something that definitely kills the suspense of slow-paced and deeply psychological horror games like these. I guess at this point, all we can do is hope that Bloober and Konami handle this beloved game with as much care and attention as possible. Not changing or removing, but rather adding onto the vast, complex world that is Silent Hill. Let's be real, Silent Hill 2 Remake won't be for everyone, and that's okay. The original isn't going anywhere. If this was a straight-up shot-for-shot copy of the original Silent Hill 2, everyone still wouldn't be happy, and people would have a lot of complaints. But the writing's on the wall. It's a remake, not a remaster. And it's inevitable that certain things will be reimagined to suit the formula. Bloober is working closely with Konami and the original game's art director, Masahiro Ito, and while people are understandably concerned about such an iconic title being in the hands of a small studio who may lack the experience to faithfully adapt Silent Hill 2, there's also a lot of clear indications that they are staying extremely close to and respecting the source material, and that they do understand the assignment. And that about sums up everything I had to talk about today. I've just about shared all my thoughts on the new Silent Hill trailers and footage, and no matter what, I'm sure of one thing. It's going to be an absolute blast to play this on October 8th, or I guess October 6th if you want to speedrun Finding Your Wife like I do. If you're interested in catching more horror content, whether that's deep dives, full story playthroughs, lore videos, facts, or other things like that, definitely be sure to subscribe to the channel to be kept up to date with Silent Hill and other similar horror games. As always, thank you again so much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think of Silent Hill 2 Remake in the comments below, and don't forget to haunt that like button. Oh, and by the way, before I go, I thought I'd leave you with some DLC at the end of the video. That's right. DLC being this 15 minutes extra gameplay footage from watching the Silent Hill transmission and kind of some of my thoughts on it. So if you want to watch that, be sure to stick around. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye. All right, next up is the 15-minute or so showcase that was aired at the Silent Hill transmission, which took place right after the State of Play. So I'm very excited to see what they've done. Oh, this is James's car. It's sort of slightly bluish color, turquoise.
Our special place. What could she mean? This whole
What is... That reminds me of RE2 Remake. Welcome home, Leon. Welcome aboard.
whole town was our special place.
Oh, first look at Maria.
You promised you'd take me there again someday. But you never did.
I love Mary's voice. It has that sort of innocent, gentle twang that the original has.
The name on the envelope said Mary.
Just like Monica Taylor Horgan in the original.
Mary died of that damn disease 3 years ago. Is she really alive?
East side of South Vale. Look at those rays being traced in those puddles. This actually looks great. I love the color palette.
What is this? Hey, wait.
Uh-oh. He has that goofy jog, just like in the original. Yeah, it really looks like the town is going to be quite faithfully remade. Because I've seen a lot of the shops and, you know, the weird little quirky shops that were in the original? They've also been in the trailers. Oh! What's in here? Oh, Oh, okay. This is where we find the radio instead of the sort of little construction site. So I'm guessing that's where the first... straitjacket will pop out, yeah. Ooh. God. The dodge! You go, James! Alright. So they've changed that up a little bit. I don't personally mind, since the other area was so... random? But... I will always prefer the original. Oh? I don't know if you caught a glimpse of it there, but this might honestly just be pixelation. It's hard to tell, but it almost looks like James's reflection in the car briefly takes on this sort of triangular shape, if you know what I'm saying. Again, this could be pure speculation, probably just us reading too much into it because, you know, it's probably just pixelation and nothing else, but interesting to think about. Okay. His health drink.
Where are you, Mary?
Exploring this town is going to be so fun. Ah. Yet another similarity between the remake and the original. So, in the original, as you explore Silent Hill, you find these dead bodies. And you might not really think about it too much, but if you take a closer look at the dead bodies, they actually all look very similar to James. The same green jacket, the same pants even, the same general shape. Just something to think about. Oh! I love that. That is so cool. How he sort of pulls out the map and jots down notes on it directly. That is really, really cool. I love that. Leave this place is not what it seems. Who left this message for him? And fast forward to yet another amazing shot-for-shot recreation of the original. Literally, the scene is set up in the same way. And this isn't the first time it happens, by the way. You can tell that they, you know, think what you will about Bloober. I know there's some differing discourse out there about them. I've played a lot of Bloober games myself, you know. Some of them were pretty good, some of them maybe not. But Say what you will about them, I do think they understand the source material of Silent Hill 2 quite well, and also keep in mind that they are still being guided and directed to a certain extent by Konami. And that includes the original art director Masahiro Ito and the original music director Akira Yamaoka and other supplementary staff at Konami, so it's not just a case of they have free reign. I do think they're trying to be very careful and very respecting of the original source material.
What you got there?
None of your business. You didn't love Mary anyway.
What? Hey, wait!
Ah, that is a much better shot of James. I actually really like this shot because holy shit, those eye bags? This man looks like he's been crying nonstop for like 2 weeks. And he hasn't slept more than 3 hours in the past 10 days or something. Yeah, more of this. I really want to see more of this sort of gritty, raw thing of how human emotions might have a differing effect on people.
How do you know her name?
So, this is the hospital, and that sort of dusky fog is here, just like the original. The light here is actually beautiful.
Where did she go?
I don't know. Let's look around.
One of my favorite areas in Silent Hill 2, by the way. The hospital.
This place feels so empty. More than the other places we've been.
I still think the voice acting, by the way, is great. Overall. Because I know that's going to be a hot topic as well. People might comment on the voice acting for the various characters. Laura is incredible. James is really good. Maria, I also really like. Mary is fantastic, as I mentioned. I know people have said some stuff about Angela. Nice little notes. I love... Say what you will about Bluebird again, but I love their ability to create very captivating environments, and they are very good at environmental storytelling, which is a really big deal for games like Silent Hill. Nurses in training. Why are their faces obscured? Now keep in mind, perfect example of what I was talking about is a picture that James sees before he sees any of the nurses. What he sees is directly imparted on creatures and beings in his surrounding. I love this lighting, by the way. The dusk here is beautiful. In the original, it was always more of an orangey tint, and, you know, obviously due to technical limitations, they just couldn't portray it as beautifully, but I always really, really liked this. I think it's gorgeous.
Laura! Wait!
It's okay. We don't want to hurt you.
Is she scared? She almost seemed a little startled. So I don't remember. I'm pretty sure we actually never see Maria interacting with Laura in the original. We know that she shows concern for her, but I think this is actually the first time we see her directly sort of speaking out to Laura. So that's a cool little thing.
God damn it. Now, where is that girl?
The music is spot on. Akira Yamaoka's masterwork again. I'm pretty sure they've just straight up remastered, resampled the original soundtrack. So it's going to sound very good. It's going to sound very faithful. And there we have it. Look at James! Stealth Master over here! I've seen some people saying about the overall graphics being kind of disappointing as well. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just not as fussy with graphics, but I actually think this looks great. I think, unfortunately, that the showcase footage and the trailer footage might have been slightly discredited because, you know, when you're streaming it, you're dealing with the live compression, you lose out on frame rate and clarity and bit rate, and it's just never going to look as nice. So I think it's very clear that from actual raw source material, the game looks much better. Youch! Yeah, so it is a bit uncanny seeing James beat and shoot the shit out of an enemy, you know, for a game that's so deeply psychological. I do get how that is a bit jarring to look at, but it just comes with the territory of, you know, having gameplay that's a bit more modernized. I think it's fine. I think, by the way, that this is still going to see some polishing. We are around 5 months out from launch. The game has not gone gold yet. It's likely still going to see polishing and updates. So I wouldn't worry too much. Bent needle. Absolutely amazing atmosphere. We got the shotgun. This is the staff locker room, I guess. I love that. That is so... I love that. Yeah, maybe James is a bit more of a violent man than what you might think. Maybe there's a reason for all this carnage. Oh, and there we don't get to see any more for now. I'm pretty sure, by the way, that this is likely going to be the preview section, so for any journalists or content creators who actually get to review this game, they're likely going to get to play a section like this. Oh god. The green paint! It's back! Damn! Eagle-eyed James over here. Holy shit. I hate those little things, by the way. Okay. What happened there? God, the potential for environmental storytelling here is just... I'm getting giddy just thinking about it.
Laura, why do you keep running away from me? And how do you know about Mary?
Mary's my friend. We met at the hospital last year.
Stop lying. Laura, I'm sorry.
Bit unpredictable there, James.
Fine! Don't believe me! See if I care!
Hey!
Let go!
Sorry, Laura, but I can't let you just run around this place. You might get hurt.
Hurt by what?
Look, just stay with me, okay? This is no place for a kid.
Fine. But there's something I gotta get.
Laura.
Laura looks and sounds incredible. I love her.
It's important.
What is it?
A letter. For Mary.
What?
I hid it. In there.
Laura's an expert troll, man. Check this out.
You sure this is where you left it?
It's in the back. Behind an old pipe.
Okay, wait here. Open the door, Laura.
Why should I? I'm a liar, right? Want me to open it? Huh? Do ya?
Let me out of here, you little brat!
In your dreams, fart face.
Oh!
Please open the door. There's something in here.
Sure there is. A big lying fart face. See a fart
That expression
face.
is eerily similar to Evelyn. RE7 Evelyn.
Laura! Laura!
Wow. This game is already going to be game of the year, man. Now with 300% more fart face. I like it. I like it. Uh-oh.